Okay, this review is going to be from an owner of an MG ZSEV, but that's the 2020 model. This is the 2022 one, and well, even 2023, depends when you watch this, but nonetheless, they've updated it. What's changed, what's improved, what could be better, all that and a lot more. Stay tuned. The best place to start this review is going to be on the exterior because the front grille has had the biggest change realistically. The rest, well, much the same. Side profile, back, you wouldn't know it's a brand new model except where you come to this front flap. Hiding behind there is your charging port, which is so much easier to get into, thankfully, because of this open and closing mechanism, plus also the covers, the plastic covers that hide the CCS2 combo charger. I like the grille, the MG logo. I'm just kind of curious why maybe they just didn't do this flap on the MG logo. You could still retain the front camera, which by the way, you've now got 360-degree views around the car, which is awesome. But this model, the MG ZS Excite, doesn't have any front sensors, so you're really reliant upon that camera, which is actually really terrible quality. But nonetheless, it's a great improvement. Getting rid of those old rubber grommets from the previous one is a good change. The next upgrade that's common to both models is LED headlights, and this SciLight technology, as it actually says within the housing here, along with these awesome little jewels, they do the job. They're bright, it's clear, and yeah, brilliant. The side profile on the MG ZSEV 2022 model is almost identical to the previous one. In fact, I reckon it is identical, but what's changed here is that on the entry level, you get no roof racks, the mirrors do not fold in, and you're also missing the moonroof with retractable shade. And for a little bit of extra coin, you can actually get those features plus some safety stuff. So yeah, I think it's really worthwhile doing that little stretch just to get those extra few features. The back, again, no changes here. So you've got your rear wiper, calling out the 7-year unlimited warranty, one of the best in Australia. That includes a high voltage battery. The logo, it's a manual open boot. Not to complain too much about that considering its price point. And you've got some sensors which are on the back, but not on the sides nor the front for this level of trim. You've got a camera, and also good to point out now, on the side mirrors there's also cameras there, so that makes up the 360-degree camera suite, which is okay in quality. It does the job, but it's really cool how when you're actually turning left, say, or you're parking the car, it will actually show you down where you're looking, well, so you don't get any rim rash on your tires. Boot space is 359 litres with the seats up, or put them down, that increases to 1,187 litres. Up front, under the hood, there is no frunk, so let's move on, getting away from this big mess. The interior is a mix of old and new, and I feel I should say something blue and borrowed because, well, the switch gear is, again, a walk-in return because it actually feels very premium. And look, if you don't know, in China, SciLight Motors actually builds cars for the like of, I think, BMW and other premium brands, VWs as well. And you can actually feel it. Everything is nice to touch. All the surfaces that you can put your hands on are also soft materials. Sure, there's some nasty plastics here and there, but again, this is something that I only do in reviews, and I don't normally think to myself, gee, I'm gonna go scratch that today, right? On the driver's door, you've got controls for all 4 windows, and it does full auto for each of them, so that's lovely. You've got central lock and unlock, usual driver interface with your wipers to the right, which on this trim are not automatic, and indicators on the left with automatic headlights, navigation controls through the different menus, and audio and phone stuff to the left. Biggest change here is this 10.1 inch high resolution screen, and my goodness, it's great. It's got a lot of stuff in there, including scheduled charging and a lot more. So I've made a separate video about that. If you want to go check it out, follow the link up here somewhere. And yeah, excellent job there, MG. Coming beneath that, you've got some quick action buttons to jump you to, let's say, home, volume up and down, temperature, fan up and down, you name it, you can just quickly jump. Beneath that, you've got some USB sockets, and welcomely, There's actually in the front and rear USB-A as well as USB-C, and the front also gets a 12-volt socket. Much like the previous model, you've got the gear selection dial that I actually like, so you go to the right to put it into drive, all the way left gets it to reverse, pressing down the button in the middle puts it into park. You can change the different modes for driving, and I'll talk to those soon. Regen through the curves button, and battery, basically the most useless button in the car once again. Coming to the back of that, you've got 2 out of the total 6 cup holders or drink bottle holders in this car, and they fit large bottles very well. And then behind that, you've got a tissue box compartment where you can put some stuff, in addition to a good generous sized glove box. In the back seat of the MG ZSEV, it's actually quite spacious considering it's a small, compact SUV. Knee room is great, headroom good too, and shoulder room, you comfortably can seat 4 people in this car. You could even do 5 because the middle position is actually slightly pressed forward with the actual cushioning of the seat here. So for shorter trips, you could do 5 adults. Definitely you could do 3 kids plus 2 adults at the front. You get the idea. Okay, at the back of the seat, these fabric seats, there's no pocket here, which is a bit disappointing, but what's good though is we've got rear vents as well as those USB sockets I spoke about before, deep bin pockets for large bottles, windows that drop all the way down to the bottom, so great for little kids to see out of. My only criticism here is, once again, there's no rear light for the passengers. It's the same in my 2020 model, and it's kind of like, why don't we just have one up here, maybe around the B pillar, or maybe back here around the C, D pillar area. It's a little annoying, and there's plenty of aftermarket options out there, so it's not like it's impossible. The electrics can handle it. We're talking low voltage lights here anyway, which, mind you, I reckon are actually incandescent. What do you think? Comment below if you know the answer. It's disappointing because the exterior lights now all LED, and the interior is like lack of lighting and old school lighting. Doesn't make sense. But still, for a family get around car, it's great. I gotta say, the first thing that I noticed driving the MG ZSEV was how familiar it is, and there's been some improvements. And the first noticeable one is this lovely 7-inch digital cluster right in front of me. To the left, you've got your speed. To the right, the amount of power that you're using. So upwards positive numbers means you're using energy. Negative numbers means you're actually taking electricity from the motors back into the battery and regenerating that battery. Okay, it's called regenerative braking. So if you're new to electric vehicles, hi, welcome, subscribe. I cover them, so yeah, please do. But it's really nice and clear. You can see how much range you've got, what the battery percentage is, and once again, the welcome return of the different modes. So you've got sport, normal or eco, and you can change the amount of regen level. So from level 1, which is pretty coasty, very similar to like a normal petrol diesel car feel. Level 2, getting a bit bitier, and level 3 is going to give you the most regenerative braking. So it's going to slow the car down, and actually it's probably just easier if I show you that. And it will slow the car down, but it won't bring it to a complete stop. So I've got my foot in accelerator now, and I'm going to take my foot off. And you can see the speed decreasing, and the power is negative 65432. Now it's 0, but I'm coasting. I'm coasting at 7 kilometers per hour. So yeah, it's disappointing that we still don't yet have one pedal driving in the MG ZSEV, and that's common to both variants, mind you. Turning circle in the MG ZSEV is about 11.2 meters, which is pretty stock standard if you ask me. It does little roundabouts like this one quite easily, and yes, it's a really no fuss driving experience. Now, I imagine that most people who are going to be buying the MG ZSEV is going to be for the work car, or the getting the kids around, commuting, doing the day-to-day living stuff of, well, having a second car. I'll talk to range and charging and things like that when I get back home, but nonetheless, I think if you're in the market for a brand new car and you're thinking these petrol prices are not going to be going down anytime soon, and mark my words, they are not, You need to get into electric cars because these things are running about at 1/5 the cost compared to fuel. And when you've got, let's say, home solar, maybe a home battery, you can make your own fuel for your electric car and be driving around for next to nothing really. MG Pilot is your lane keep assist and radar cruise control, and it actually is pretty good. It's not Tesla level, but it's better than actually some other car makers out there. So right now it's following a car in front of me and it's using power to get this car going. So it's 10%, 8%, you get the idea. Now, in a moment, we're going to have to slow down for a roundabout. Now, watch what happens to the power. You see that? It's at 0. The car is slowing down because the car in front is slowing down. And it's not using regen braking to bring this car to a complete stop. It is the most annoying thing in the world. I can't fathom why it is like it is. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to turn off pilot assist and see how it's gone to -19. That's what it should be doing when it's doing radar cruise control or stop-start traffic. Not just using the friction brakes to slow the car down and to match the speed in front. It's baffling beyond my mind because when you think about what this car is doing, so it's got a camera up front, it's using the radar as well, and it does a great job of keeping the car centered in the lane and turning slight corners. And why when you've got something that's just software related, can't it actually just slow the car down using regen without, again, using those brakes? It just is really annoying. Alright, finishing off this driving section and that little rant, we've got auto hold. So if I bring the car to a complete stop, you'll see the P symbol appear on the screen, and if, let's say, after I think it's about 5 minutes and you've done nothing, it'll automatically put it into park brake mode. And just a simple tap of the accelerator and it disengages the brake, and away we go. Safety systems on the MG ZS are pretty good, but there's a few occlusions, but thankfully you still got front collision warning. Yep, great. But unfortunately no rear cross traffic alert, and that's because on this version, the Excite, not the Essence, is omitted, and I think for the extra few grand it's really worth your while. Ride and handling of the 2023 MG ZS EV is thankfully improved, with MG Motors claiming that it's changed suspension, spring rates and dampeners to make it less bouncy. If you want to know more, see my 2020 review. The result is a ride that is forgiving without being overly soft. That means speed bumps don't phase it too much, which translates well to a smooth ride without inducing motion sickness. Cabin noise is pretty good, particularly at standstill. However, at speed it seemed to be on par with its older model, and definitely not as good as the Kia Niro EV review here. Okay, now comes to the awkward section where we need to talk about battery and charging. And well, this has had a bit of a bump in specs, so now we've got a 50.3 kilowatt hour battery on board. It accepts 7 up to 11 kilowatts of AC charging, and now a fast DC charge up to 80 kilowatts. They've got a quoted time in the specs of 30 to 80% on a 50 kilowatt charger, under an hour. So I don't know why they're underselling the charging capability, because it actually is an improvement on the previous generation. Another plus is a lithium phosphate battery, meaning that you can actually charge this to 100% every single day for thousands of cycles, and it will do no harm to the battery. It's actively managed, that is to say heated and cooled, so you're easily going to get 3,000 cycles out of it. The claim range on the MG ZS EV is 320 kilometers with an efficiency of 17.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Think of it as fuel efficiency for people who are coming from petrol diesel cars. I actually found it thirstier at 20 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, meaning I could only get about 255 kilometers of range out of this battery. That's pretty usable for most people, for most situations. Again, Australians do about 40 kilometers of driving per day. So that could easily get you a whole week before you need to recharge it. But 70% of Australians actually can recharge at home from any power point. So when you do that 40 kilometers, just plug it in with the included charger. You're going to get 10 kilometers of range per hour. So by the time you've gone to bed, you've already fully replenished this battery and it's full for the next day. My final thoughts on the MG ZSEV 2022 model. It's a great improvement on the previous one, and it builds upon a great foundation, and we see a lot of positives here. There's been an increase in battery size. The motor has also had a bump in specs too. Mind you, 0 to 100 time is 8.2 seconds, which matches my previous car, so nothing terribly exciting, but yeah, it's a family car. I don't think you're going to be zooming people off the lights, are you? That 10.1 inch high resolution screen is awesome. It's crisp, clear, works pretty well, albeit a little laggy with inputs taking a good half a second to actually register. That includes also the hard buttons beneath, but with auto climate control and now MG iSmart, you can finally precondition your cabin, find your car if you need to, lock and unlock it, and do a few other party tricks that, well, my car can't do, including scheduled charging. Hallelujah! This is what you want, it really is. So for $44,990 for the Excite version, that's drive away, to $48,990 for the Essence version, the $4,000, the safety features alone I think are worthwhile. The roof racks, heated front seats, rain sensing wipers, wireless phone charger, and a few more safety features which actually shouldn't be optional extras. They should be included in this price point. But nonetheless, ride and handling is improved as well, and I think it's a great tick from me for the MG ZSEV. This is definitely a car worth your coin, especially if you're in that price point. Okay, if you've enjoyed this video, please do subscribe. It's absolutely free. If you want to see behind the scenes and content that you just don't get here on YouTube, please join me on Patreon where you get all this and a lot more, or consider joining as a YouTube member. Otherwise, you be good and you be green.